Well, hello, good evening, and welcome along to VTTV on this really horribly weathered Monday night. It's disgustipating outside. It's cold, wet and windy. Just like a newborn baby. Pretty much, that's why I call it baby weather. Drove back from the lakes today, and I kid you not, I did not see anything that was not covered in water, which makes me wonder what the weather's been like down in that there part of the world that Dave Kitson lives in. What's it like down there, Dave?
Bleeding awful. Absolutely horrendous. And I'm very glad to say I haven't gone out in it. I haven't left the house since Saturday.
What about you, Marco?
Well, yeah, it's not cracking up here. I have left the house since Saturday. I was in Leeds earlier and I came back on the M1 and very nearly aquaplaned my way down the M1. It was a bit grim, but there you go. I'm here now. Yes.
Bragging again, are you?
Cosy now.
Yes. This aquaplaning thing's not a good idea, you know.
No.
But it kind of leads me into a little bit of thing here. About vaping. Have you heard of it?
Isn't that thing that's worse than smoking?
Kind of heard of it. Yeah, I'm not really up to speed on it really.
Well, let me tell you this. This is quite fun. Well, I'm saying funny. It's not actually that funny. We left Ambleside, I don't know, probably about 1:30, 2 o'clock this afternoon. But before we left, I'd taken one of the grandsons to have a play at the like a Jurassic Museum thing they've got there, where you can buy Bonnie Pebbles and all this kind of stuff. It's not bad. It's a canny place. But as per usual, while he was in the pool of jewels, picking out his stones to put in his little bag, with his nan, Grandad went out for a vape, as you do, because he was in there for hours. So I'm stood outside having a vape, and they got finished off, and the rest of the family came out. And there's this wizened old walker of the feminine variety, I think. I don't know what she was wearing on her face. It looked like it needed ironing, let's put it that way. And I'm just stood there being quite gentle about things and did this. That was all I did. And there was a little bit of a breeze and it blew it across the road. And she was crossing the road and walked through my exhalate, which was not by any stretch of the imagination thick. And she stood and looked straight at me and let loose this string of invective about, "I don't want to breathe your fucking effluent like that. You are polluting my bloody lungs, you twat." And I thought, okay. And I just said, "Excuse me?" And as she went off up the road, it got worse and worse and worse. There was a family of three stood to my right hand side, and they were wetting themselves laughing. And the I'm saying little girl, she'd have been mid-teenager. She's going, "Oh, I've learned some new swear words." Unbelievable. She was really, really down on the fact that I was stood in the street vaping. And here's to tell you, I don't know whether you saw the periscope I put up on Saturday night, Dave, but there was fireworks on and there wasn't a breath of wind in the park. Not a breath of wind until the fireworks finished, and then there was a little wisp. But the amount of smoke that was generated, all of which would be carrying heavy metals, because that's how they get the colour in these things. It was, I mean, seriously, it was thick as a bull's lug. You couldn't see through it. And that blew and she couldn't stand a little wisp of vapour. I just don't know what to make of it. I really don't.
Sounds like a real charmer.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You don't get them as charming as that in my part of the world, that's for sure. But the unfortunate thing was she reminded me of somebody.
Anyone in particular?
I'm just going to say blue suit and sensible shoes. Work it out for yourself. If anybody can take that as a hint, that's entirely right. But facially, seriously, anyway, never mind. It's been a funny week this week, has it not, in terms of things that have been happening. Like, for instance, I think we all knew that November the 19th was going to be the last day when stuff could be put on the market without being notified, and stuff could be put on the market that was non-compliant. Today is actually the first day of full compliance in terms of stuff being put on the market. And I know we were just looking at what Chat was saying before we came in, and Marco's chief chat reader these days, aren't you, Marco? Marco?
Oh, I was muted. Sorry, I'll mute myself. Then makes my life a lot easier. Yes, I chat wrangle quite a lot. Yeah, it's over here in front of me. You're here.
What's the I mute myself? Is this a euphemism for something enjoyable?
No, because if we're muted when we're not talking, then the person on screen who's talking, i.e., that would be Dave, will be able to talk uninhibited. But if I'm inhaling a nice chuff of my vape, then it will pick up and change cameras over, like he did. Awesome. Anyway, so I'm going to chat wrangle. Yeah.
Yes. So what was Chat saying? Because we mentioned this.
I don't know. I wasn't watching.
Oh, for God's sake!
I was talking to you. There's a lot of chat about the TPD and some people that don't know what the TPD is.
Well, yes, I seem to.
Go figure that out one, Dave.
Well, look, we were just talking about this before we went live. Can we remember between us, Dave? We know it was December. What year was it? 2012 or 2011? I think it was December 2011 when the Tobacco Products Directive revision was announced. Does that ring bells?
Yeah. Was it or was it 2012?
Well, either way, it's either.
It was a long time ago.
I've
been to sleep many times.
Yes.
Significant.
We have had multiple Christmases since it occurred.
Indeed.
Because it was just slightly enough before Christmas that most people wouldn't do anything about it. Basically, I think that was why it was launched and announced at that point in time. I'm sure somebody will be clattering into chat what year it was. I can't remember whether it was 2011 or 2012, but I know we got started on it in the January of the next year to try and bring this to everybody's attention, and I don't think anybody can point the finger at Vapor Trails and say we didn't cover it. I think we covered it to excess possibly, but though apparently not, because according to Bernice Evans, there are people in forums on the Book of Faceness that are asking, what's the TPD? What does that mean? What do you make of that?
It startles me to some extent. I mean, I think I've seen several people, without having gone out and looked, I've seen several emails and posts on Facebook from juice suppliers listing the things that they can no longer provide. So they're off the market now, they're gone.
Yes.
I've also seen correspondence from companies saying, well, that's the end of this then. It's time to pack it in because they can't afford compliance, not least of all Totally Wicked US. I know that's not directly TPD related, but, there's plenty of chatter about. So I find it a little bit surprising if people don't know what it is at this stage. I don't know about you.
Well, these days nothing surprises me. Marco, what's your take?
Well, if you're new to vaping, like, a month or so, then you probably aren't going to know. But if you've been vaping for 6+ months, then it should have been everywhere. So you should be knowing what it means to you and what it means to everybody else. That's my kind of take on it. I mean, obviously, those of us who have been looking at this for years now, we all know. And a lot of the forums know, but there's so many Facebook groups popping up. And maybe if they don't know and they're starting up groups and stuff, and then the people who join the groups don't know, or maybe it's just they don't want to know. I don't know.
It's an interesting one. I mean, I'm trying to keep track of chat as well. And John Summers is saying, DD, there are traders asking the same, and not new ones either, that I've spoken to before. I'll freely admit, I've had vendors and producers call me and ask for advice, as in, can we get away with this? Does this really mean that? And does that really mean this? That's fine. But they're aware of it's there. They're just looking for loopholes, and they've been asking me, advice, which I can live with, that I don't have a problem with. But Brian Coe is saying that he's had producers in PM asking him stuff all week, and some of the stuff I happen to know has been along the lines of, what does this mean? We'd not heard of this before. And it just beggars belief.
It's actually hard. If it's your trade, I find that difficult to comprehend. Yes, I mean, as Marco just said, like, if you've just been vaping for a month or something, then I could understand that it could have passed you by. But if you're in the trade, I mean, surely the people you're buying your kit off must have mentioned it.
You would have thought, yes. You know, I mean,
I must just point out this in chat from Bernice. She said one juice vendor asking for 1,000 members to pay £50 each so they can put their juices through.
They're looking for 50 grand. At this stage, at this point, they're looking
want to raise 50 grand at this point, yeah.
Now, at this point, 6 months, 6 months after it entered into force, 18 months after we were notified of what the actual date was going to be, now they're deciding that they want to put their juices through? Good grief. How can anybody get to that stage? Mark was just sitting there saying note.
Sorry, I was just looking at chat. I was just going back down again. Yes, I find it quite incredulous that it's now. They're doing it now, unless someone's just started up. But if they had, then they should have done some bloody research beforehand. I mean, I remember at the expo in Harrogate last year. Do you remember there was a company, and they were asking me what it was. They didn't know what the TPD was, and I asked them a question. I said, "Have you mortgaged your house to start this company? Because if you have, get some advice now, or you can end up renting. Because do you know what I mean? They hadn't got a clue." I was quite stunned at that point, but now we're a year and a half on, and people are trying to raise money to put their juices through.
I mean, even at that Harrogate show, even if they'd been walking around with their eyes closed, they would have stumbled across that outfit that was over the aisle from us, that was doling out advice to vendors about how to be compliant. It might not have been the right advice.
Dubious advice, but advice nonetheless.
But exactly right. It was being brought to people's attention. And maybe they don't want to know. Maybe they still think it's just going to go away. Well, unless something quite remarkable happens, it's not going to go away. It's here. We're at that point now where only compliant stock can be put on the market for the first time. That's the situation we're in. That's the situation that everybody's got to be aware of. If you're not aware of it, you bloody well ought to be, because we've been telling you for long enough. So, I don't know where we go from here. I mean, I know I keep saying we need to go and see MPs and see if we can get this grand repeal bill to help us out a little bit. And you know, I think that there is some political will to get the TPD regulations taken out of the TRPR, that's the Tobacco and Related Products regulations in the UK. But there's more than just that happening as well, which I think we probably need to be aware of, and which we'll come on to in a minute or two's time. But I mean, Dave, what more can we do? What more can we do to bring this to? I mean, is it too late? What do you reckon?
That's a good question. Is it too late? It probably is too late. Now to change what's coming in the near future. We've got to, like you suggest, we've got to concentrate, I think, on how we get it turned around. If I seem a bit distracted, I thought I'd be able to fit a first replacement coil in this tank whilst talking to you. It's turned out to be not challenging, but like I don't really do multitasking, so I'll put it down. No, I think we've got to keep the pressure up. There's one thing that's going to work in our favour during the next fortnight or so, as people who go to order a 30ml bottle of their favourite juice find that the vendor couldn't afford the compliance and it's no longer for sale. People won't be able to avoid noticing that. So I think, it's going to become more of an issue for people. More people are going to notice it. So I think it's important for anybody that's involved in any kind of advocacy is looking out for these people to point out to them what they can do.
Yes,
because
I mean,
a lot of people, to summarise what I've just said, a lot of people are about to notice.
And it even so, it's still going to take a little bit of time, because if somebody had bought, let's for argument's sake, say 50,000 bottles, 50,000 60ml bottles of whatever, Dave K's favourite juice, and they sell 10 a week, then they're still going to have plenty when it gets to May the 19th that they're going to have to scrap, because that's already been sold, it's already in the shop. But the stock that they've got, once it's gone, it's gone. You can't restock it. You can't legally buy any more in after this weekend gone, after today. That's it. Today you couldn't do it unless it was produced prior to today. And that's the term, produced. It has to have been produced prior to today. And it may well need to be notified as non-compliant. Now, I don't understand that. I really...
It is a little odd. But I think, therefore, because of the way it's working, it's the smaller vendors, it's the people dealing through Facebook and what have you, are going to run out of that stuff first. Yeah, the big vendors have got warehouses full. They've been stocking up because of this date, whereas the little guys won't have. So that's where you're going to see it first. Sorry, I can't get any more of that. I can't make any more of that. So yeah,
I think you're right. I think that's going to be the case. I mean, we know the folks that are properly clued up and know what their turnover of certain stuff is will have made the required purchases prior to the required date in order to be able to satisfy the need up until May the 20th of next year, at which point they can't. Yeah. At which point everything's got to be TPD compliant, and there will be no excuses unless we can do something to get the whole lot overturned and hoyed out. And as I keep on saying, the only way of doing that is getting down to see your MP. Another good thing that you could do, actually, is to drag your MP along to see A Billion Lives. Now, I'm going to punt one here.
Good idea.
I'm going to punt one here. Local to me, at the Metro Centre, I call it local, it pretty much is. The Metro Centre is showing this on the 12th of December at 6 o'clock. The Odeon at the Metro Centre has A Billion Lives on. I shall be there, and I shall be speaking to my MP, whose office is around about a mile and a half as the crow flies from where I live. I shall go down to her office and I will say, what are you doing on December the 12th? Because I would very much like you to accompany me. In fact, I will take you in a 5-star limousine to this thing. I will buy you dinner afterwards if I have to, but I want you to come and see A Billion Lives with me. And I'll see what she says. And more to the point, I'll also put it in email because I know I'll get a reply, and I'll publish the reply as well. Because I think this is what we've got to do. I'm also going to get hold of a whole load of the folks I've been dealing with in Newcastle, Sunderland and Fresh North East and places like that, and see if we can't get them along. It might cost me a few bob, but I think it's worth doing, because the more people see that, the better. Now, I know, Dave, you've got the page open, haven't you?
I have indeed. So this is on the 12th of December. It's a Monday at 6 o'clock, right? Simultaneously, there will be showings at the Odeon Streatham in the City of London, There's the Odeon Liverpool Switch Island, the Odeon in Gateshead. That's the one. That's the Metro, is it?
Yeah, Metro Centre. Yeah.
Yeah. There's one in Dudley at the Odeon, right next door to Keith. Then the Odeon in Brighton. And the following day, on Tuesday, December the 13th, which is my birthday, so I'll remember that one, at the Odeon in Richmond. So there are more opportunities, guys, to register your interest for these, so they get shown. It's the standard sort of deal. You've got to sell or reserve. How many tickets is it? 61.
61, yeah.
Yeah. So 64 in the case of the Dudley one. But so, you know, plug these things, go see it, get people to go see it, get your MP to go see it, whatever. Hopefully these ones won't all get canned.
Well, I'm going to do my best to make sure that the Gateshead Metro Centre one doesn't. I do know that there are people from my part of the world that are watching this tonight. So if you are, you know what to do. We need to be talking to all the vape shops in the area and get them to buy 10 each. There must be 15 or 20 vape shops around the greater Tyne and Wear area. If we can get them to buy 10 tickets each, and out of those 10, either get them to vapers or get them to councillors, to people from Fresh North East, to MPs, people like that. Let's get them down there and let's make this a thing. Let's do it the way it should be done. I think it has to be done, because if we don't do it, no bugger else will they?
It doesn't seem that way, no. By we, I would include people watching this, like VIP. They're doing their best and being very supportive.
Yes, indeed they are.
I'd like to see some more shops getting involved, because they have such better contact with customers, and you'd think they'd want to see it themselves as well.
Well, listen, I mean, look, when I ran the studio, I used every contact I had to try and drum business up and keep business up. You know, I mean, John Miles, people like that, they were coming down to the studio. I was using them, not nastily, but kind of a sales thing. And you would have thought that vape shops, particularly, knowing what's coming, but apparently there's not that many of them do know what's coming, if we're to believe what we're hearing. I mean, dearie me, it's not. I kind of don't know which way to turn on that. I really don't.
I think it's also worth keeping in mind a point that we've made before as well, and that is that some vendors are not as opposed to this legislation as we are as consumers. Those that have been clued up are quite happy to offer a reduced range of products, firm in the knowledge that a lot of smaller competitors are going to go out of business, and it helps them to sort of get a share of the market. I know that's a little bit controversial, but there's not everybody in the industry is against the TPD. If you're a consumer, I can't understand how you could possibly not be against the TPD, to be honest. We all know that there are some vendors who actually see it as a business opportunity.
Yes, I just need to put a record straight here. I've just seen something going up in chat, which I don't know whether Marco's caught. Have you, Marco?
Depends which bit it is, Dave.
Lloyd Johnson.
No.
It says Matt, Marco and DK have already stated that they're not going to see Billion Lives.
No. I said I would get to see one if I could. Didn't say I wasn't going to go.
Well, DK, you were going to the one in Dudley, are you not?
I just pretty much, well, I said that exactly. So I don't know whether that's a typo or what, but just the avoidance of any further confusion. The first opportunity I get to see this sodding film, I'm going to take, because I've been thwarted at every attempt so far.
Yeah, and I tried to get a screening in Leeds, but couldn't get one. As I've said on a couple of occasions on this show. So I don't know where you're coming from there, Lloyd.
Maybe it was a typo.
Maybe.
I think it must have been. Yes.
Yeah.
I have already seen it, truth be told, but I want to go and see it again, and I want to take people that need to see it. I think that's important. We need to take people that need to see it. I mean, not to be nasty or anything like that, but just really to make sure that the right people get to see this, and that it at least makes them think. I can guarantee for a certain fact that there are certain people who will come out of it going, well, that was a load of shite. I can absolutely guarantee that. And I know exactly the class of person that would be. The same class of person that was shouting blue buggery at me today in Ambleside, to be truthful. Yes. So, yeah, Brian, it's pointless asking me to chat today, boy. I'm driving the show. It's not pre-recorded, mate. I cannot chat. I'm sorry and all that. If you need to get something to me, go through Sav or while there's a video playing, if you don't mind. If Dave can't multitask, I've got even more to do, and I can do it even less well than he can. So there you go. What I was going to try and do a seamless link there, but it's all just gone up in a puff of blue smoke, really. Let's try it.
Appropriate, at least.
Well, there is that. We've been talking in terms of there being 6 months to get your mitts on previously marketed non-compliant kit. And of course, if that is the case, then you're going to be wanting to get your mitts on good stuff. Stuff that's going to do well for you. And we all know, that the stuff that's really popular and that has proved to be good, and I'm thinking in terms of the Rouleau, I can't honestly think of many vapors that haven't got a Rouleau. They are very popular, and there's a good reason for that. It's because they work damned well. Both of the versions I've got do. But it's what you're going to put on top of them. That because as we know, mods, the bits that the batteries go in, don't need to be notified. But the tanks do.
Uh-huh.
Now, you may well be aware that there is a fourth member of the team that is regularly on screen, but at the moment isn't, because he's out in the cold and wet and windy on four wheels driving home from his place of gainful employment. And we're not allowed to tell you where that is. But when he gets 5 minutes, he sits down with a piece of kit and he looks at it. He is, as far as reviewing tanks is concerned, a virtual god, a V-god, if you will.
Hello. Right, today, this evening, or this morning, depending on when the hell you're watching this, because I don't know, because I'm doing it now. We are going to be looking at the V-god Trick Tank RDTA. Is it RDTA? Oh, I don't bloody know. Trick Tank Pro thing. It is a tank. It is kind of a Genesis type thing, but sponsored by, or not sponsored by, endorsed by V-god. Yeah, it's something I picked up at Vapor Expo probably about a month ago now, actually, isn't it? 3 weeks, month, whatever. Who cares? Time has no meaning, as we have discovered. So yeah, that's before I vape on it, because I know you're dying to see me vape on it, aren't you? No, you're not. Before I vape on it, let's do the usual thing where we just fucking crack on with it, shall we? Right, here is the V-god unboxing part. Very big box. Actually, you come with a cardboard sleeve on it as well, but you get this carrying case. It says V-god all over it. This is apparently a registered trademark, as you can see there. Even says V-god on the side, and I think it's got a tag on it somewhere. Just in case you didn't realise, this is from V-god. Okay, right, it's got a tornado-y thing there, look at that. Right, I've had to zoom the camera out as far as I can, because this is a big box. Right, inside the box we get a piece of foam. We get a little thing there to put stuff in. whatever. We get instructions. Tells you how to fill it and build it and that sort of thing. And as this is the deluxe version of the kit, oh, hang on, before I do that, you get a little baggie of O-rings, an insulator, spare grub screws, that sort of thing. You get the tank itself and a spare glass tinted window thingy, glass tank. And you also get, because as I said, this is the deluxe one. I think it only comes with deluxe. I'm not 100% sure. You get this Coil Frenzy build kit as well, which comes with two 3mm fused Clapton 0.2 ohm coils, which are no longer in here because I've used them and thrown them away. You can scan stuff there. If you get your phone on the screen there, you can probably scan it. There we are. And you know, we can like on Facebook and things for giveaways. So there's stuff that says what's inside. So it's 2 times 6 wrap 3mm in diameter 0.2 ohm coils, 20 strands of 100% Japanese organic cotton, and is also handmade in the US of A. Jolly good. Again, it says VGod on that as well. It says VGod absolutely bloody everywhere. I'm sure Dave Kitson's pissing himself laughing at this point. Right, all the shininess. Let's try and undo this tin. Right, so in this tin, what we would have had is a nice little handy thing that says lift. In this part here, there were 2 coils. They've now gone. We get this little informational thing here that says how to do it, okay? How to wick it up or coil it up. And inside there, we get some strips of cotton. Pre-cut, which is quite nice. You know, useful. So that's pretty much it, really. Here's the tank, which I will break down in a minute and then show you me assembling the thing, because why not? But that's the tank. It is a 22mm diameter thingamajig. On the bottom it says official VGod USA Trick Tank Pro, and it's got some sort of flag, you know, with stars and stripes on it. No idea what that's from. That's it, really. It says drip tip in the instruction manual, but that's really, you can use it as a dripper, I suppose. No reason why not. Yeah, let's break it down. Here is the Trick Tank Pro in all its bits then. I figured this is kind of worth showing you guys. I don't normally do this, but there we are. So here we have the 510 positive pin here in my hands. I believe it's to be gold plated. It certainly looks gold-like. Here's an insulator. You do get a spare one in the box. Here is the positive. Well, I presume it's positive, whatever. It's either positive, let's say positive. Positive connector, and the negative will be on the deck here. Whilst we're on the subject of the deck, here it is. It's quite cunningly designed, actually. So here we got the input port for your e-liquid, which requires a snipe nose bottle. You know, of this sort of thing. Hang on. It requires something like that to go in. So ideal for a unicorn tank bottle even. And there's your airflow here. Let's get a pointing device to illustrate. So what happens is the airflow will come in here. There's one on each side, like so, and it will come up here. And your wicks go down for these holes here, as you can see. And there's 4 of those. Quite clever in the sense that what happens, I had a guy from Grey Haze explain this to me. It creates an airlock, so it's constantly drawing liquid up into the cotton. We'll get to that a bit later on. So that's the actual deck. Very solid piece of stainless steel. There is an insulation in here as well to keep the positive pin from touching the sides. There we are. Here's the base, or the bottom of the tank. Nothing really special to see here. There's an O-ring there, look. Here's the actual tank itself. You can see I've still got the O-rings on it. They kind of stuck to there. Not actually stuck, but they're staying on there. I'm not taking them off. Here's the top cap. It just says VGod on it. And that's it. And here's your drip tip, which you can just screw on here. Quite happily. That's pretty much it. So let's actually get this assembled. I'll do this on camera because why not? So what you do is you pop your tank on there. You do get a black tinted tank in the kit as well, and then you screw this down like so. If any of you guys are familiar with the Genesis atomizers of yore, then this is not really that dissimilar from it. In fact, it's pretty much the same sort of thing. You get your insulation insulation thingamajig, pop that in there. It requires a little bit of finagling. Actually, it's worth pointing out at this juncture that there's the right way up for this. You can see there's a lip there. That lip goes down. Okay, a little bit fiddly to get in, but not too bad. There we are. Let's pop that in there, and you pop your post on there. There is a little notch that locates, as you can see, so that keeps it all in. So that goes in like so, and then you pop your center post in. Now, this is actually reverse threaded. Instead of righty tighty lefty loosey, it's the other way around. So I'm actually turning this to the left. Okay, so that's all right, snugged in. There we go, and you just pop the actual tank part on there, which like so. Anyway, let's get a build on this thing, shall we? And I suppose I'll show you wicking it, because why not? There we are. Right, here we are. We've got our coils, and I'm desperately trying to get it into shot here. Right, we've got our coils on here. I've gone for Kitson coils in stainless steel variety, and this is 3mm inner diameter, as you would have got in the kit. So we've got 2 strands of our VGOT approved cotton. What we're going to do is, I think I might need to split these. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to have to slice that down the middle. I think I only need 1 strand, to be honest with you. Let's just snip that. I mean, I could just tear the layers apart, but yeah, this is just quicker. So all we've got to do is roll our cotton up ever so slightly, just to get a nice point on it, and make it a bit more cylindrical. Yeah. You've seen this done thousands of times by people better than I at this, but you know, I'm going to make you sit through it because I'm a wicked bastard. All right. So let's just feed that through there like so. Apologies, I'm turning it away from the camera, aren't I? Because, you know, selfishly I want to see what I'm doing. So there's 1. So we only needed 1 strand then to slice in twain. Let's get the other piece. And just feed it through. We ain't going to need this much cotton even then. There we go. So now I'm just going to trim this up a little bit because we don't need that long. You probably want around about 3 or 4 mil each end in tails. There we are. That's that. Let's get rid of the cuttings. I try and keep this place tidy. I try. I don't necessarily succeed at it. Right, and then what we do is you get some sort of pointy implement. I'm using a screwdriver, and we just stuff these down those holes. These holes being, you probably can't really see, just there. That's where they're going down. Just stuff them down. That's all we got to do. Quite straightforward, really. Let's bring it up a little bit just so it's all touching everywhere. And the cotton expands anyway when it gets wet, so excuse me, I have a bit of a cold coming on, I think. So if I sound a bit sniffly, that will be why. So yeah, we're just stuffing these in like so. Now, I promise you, this actually works quite nicely. I'm just raising the cotton up ever so slightly. It's just so it's not a steep angle. It's you know, it's a nice curve. Just so when the cotton does expand, we want it to fill up quite nicely. So that's the sort of thing you want to get. Then you get your juice, your liquid, your coil sauce, whatever the hell you want to call it, and just glob it on. Make sure that's fully open though, Matt, because otherwise it won't come out. So glob your juice on there. There you go. Yeah, you don't have to be incredibly tidy about it because it's going to get saturated and it'll sort itself out. There we go. You want to get those coils nice and wet. Not only the cotton, but you want to make sure those coils are nice and saturated. Now, this tank will hold 4 millilitres of your favourite e-liquid. What am I going for today? I'm going for Double Drips Coil Sauce Twisted Ice Cream. There we are, because why not? It is quite high in the VG stakes, which I thought was quite fitting. You know, I could use some VGod e-liquid on this, couldn't I? But, you know, there's only so many times you can say VGod in one video. And there's a few more yet. Right, I'm just going to make sure that's all nicely in there. So, I'm going to use a different bottle now because I already pre-filled this, because this bottle is no good for filling this side up. It goes everywhere. So you want something with a point, like that. So that's just going to go in, like so, and I squeeze. And you can see it fills. See it filling? There we are. See it bubbling around as well at the top, which is fine. A little bit more. So yeah, 4 millilitres this will hold in the tank section. A bit more than the average dripper, I suppose, but there we are. Pop that out. You notice I held on to the nozzle bit in case something nasty happened. And then we just pop our top cap on. You'll notice the top cap, you possibly can't make this up, this rubber bung, here, he said bung, is ever so slightly proud of the metal. So when this goes down, it actually forms a seal, a vacuum seal. Can make it a little tricky to get it on sometimes, but there we are. So that is now sealed. Right, so what we got to do then is pop it on something and vape the bloody thing, haven't we? So, right, enough of looking at my hands and fabricy mat. Oh, actually my hands are there as well, and my legs. Yeah, let's look at my gurning mug. Right then, the tank is What fell over? Come on, own up. All right, not gonna. Oh yeah. Right, the tank is rebuilt. I must sit up because I'm a bit low. My chair is very squeaky. Oh, fucking hell, everything's just going to the pot around here. I need more space. If anyone wants to sponsor me to getting a bigger house, crack on. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, right. We've called the thing up, and it's sitting atop this thing, which you've not seen me do a video of yet, but this is the Lost Vape DNA 200 thingy. Very pretty. Right, the coils came out in a combined total of 0.19 ohms. And I've currently got this as 70 watts. Not bad. Let's take it to 80. Better. Nice juice, actually. Might do a video on that at some point as well. Right, okay. Let's talk about this thing then. I've been using this pretty much since I picked it up at Vapor Expo. I actually sat there with Dave Dorn. He's got one as well. The pair of us sat there by our stage stand thing and built these things using nothing more than a screwdriver for some glasses and a penknife, and it worked wonderfully. I've put in a few other calls since then because I was using this stuff in them. Now, I found with this tank, I could probably get through around about 20 mil of that stuff before the coils were completely clogged up. You had to dry burn it and get rid of all the crud, this sort of thing. So it's taking not the ideal juice to using it because it's so full of sugar. Because it's so full of sugar that yeah, the Clapton core was just clogged up. So I'm hoping I'm going to get better mileage of this one. But I have gotten through probably around about 120 mil of that juice in it. So that's how many times I've recorded the thing, okay? Wonderful. It's right. If any of you are expecting to see me do tricks, because this is a trick tank, this is as much as I can do. Look, it makes a magical smile. That's it. I can't do vape rings. I can't do any of that crap. I can't do the jellyfish. I can do an exhale. There you go. That's my trick. The exhale. So someone better qualified to me that can go and blowing bloody rings and stuff with this and jellyfish and I don't bloody know. I'm not really into that anyway. Flavour wise, now flavour is something I can talk about. Absolutely bloody astounding. Really, really, really superb flavour. Also, one other thing about this, and this is completely non-intuitive, I've never had this thing leak. Not once, ever. I don't know why or how it doesn't, but it doesn't. It's quite astonishing, really. I don't know why. It's a Genesis atomizer. It's what it is, a Genesis atomizer, which is supposed to leak everywhere. That's what they're supposed to do. That's, you know, that's what they're famous for. That and really good flavour, but yeah. So yeah, it doesn't leak. I could sit here like this for the next hour. You wouldn't see a single drip coming out. Seriously, it's decent. It works on the principle as I kind of mentioned in the close-up section. I had a guy from Grey Haze explain it to me that this works on an airlock system. So once you've got that top cap on, it covers up all the air. It seals up the tank. So of course air still happens when it goes underneath the coils for these two intake holes here. But what it does is when you draw on it, it creates a vacuum, which then draws the liquid up the sides of the glass and onto the coil, onto the wicks. Quite ingenious, really, actually. You know, a lot of thought has gone into this thing. I've never had a dry hit off it. I've never had it leak. And yes, I have vaped it right down to the bottom. A lot of this as well, it's not all going to be the vacuum, because sometimes you're going to have this thing sitting in your pocket and it's going to slosh around in there. Yeah, so when it's doing that, liquid's going to go up the sides and hit the coils and that sort of thing. And of course, when you're vaping on it, you're tipping it as well. So that also helps. But yeah. You can vape the tank dry, which is really quite impressive, really. It is a 4mm tank, so not entirely exactly what you call DPD compliant, but then, you know, I don't really care, because that's just because it, you know, I've got it right now. And of course, the amount of juice in there the lifetime will vary depending on how high a wattage you vape it out, this sort of thing. Let's take it up a little bit further. Let's take it to 90. 90. Can you see that? 90. Now, this being a DNA 200 device, and I've not unlocked it, so I can only go to 100 in non-temperature control mode. Unfortunately, it is stainless steel, but you know, I've not got a stainless steel profile on here, so it's not going to know what to do with it. So 100 watts. Fine. I just look at that. It's obscene vapour. Obscene. And really, really tasty vapour. It's on par. I'm going to take it down to 80 again because that's what I'm more comfortable with. That's what I prefer this tank at. It is on par easily with any dripper I've used. no problem there at all. I'll tell you, all I can say is I'm going to keep using this because I really quite like it. I suppose then, with that in mind, it is back to the fine folks who are presenting this programme this evening. So back to the studio, but not my studio because I'm not here.
I just knew. There's a countdown on the end of all of the videos that we play. Well, not just at the end, right the way through. We can see how long there is left, but Matt always leaves 5 or 6 seconds. And I knew I'd miss it. And I did. I missed it. It was predictable, wasn't it, Dave?
Begs the question, if you knew you were going to do it, why did you do it anyway?
Well, because I pressed the right button, but unfortunately the wrong application had focus. That's the way it goes. I too, as Matt said, have the VGod trick tank here.
You like it, don't you? You like that.
I do. I'm running it at 80 watts. It has an extremely gunked up pair of coils on it, the original ones that are in. He's right about that. But even with gunked up coils, allow me to demonstrate. I shall do that even as we speak. And the camera's a good 8 foot away from me. Flavour to savour. And he's right, no dry hits. You can vape it. I've got no idea how it works, but it does, and it's really nice. And they were thankfully released before the due date. Ergo, you can still buy them. Get them while they're hot. They're good. I like them too. There's been all kinds of stuff going on in chat while.
So, is that a non-compliant tank that was notified so it's okay, or a compliant tank?
It's non-compliant.
So you can buy that until the 20th of May, and then you can't buy it anymore.
Buy it until the 19th of May. Then on the 20th of May you can't buy it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Okay. So that sucks then.
It does. I expect to see queues round the corners of various different shops on the 19th buying end of ranges. Now, while we're talking about this 19th and 20th of May and stuff that's compliant and non-compliant, I think we need to get some terminology sorted out here, at least amongst ourselves, so that we know what we're talking about. And the word that is causing confusion left, right and centre is coil. Now, Mr. Kitson has a coil, we have decided.
I do. I have a little tub of coils.
And these are coils.
These are fused Clapton coils.
Yes, sure. There, look, out of focus. And there you are, old style BTs. That there is what we are going to refer to as a coil. Mr. Kitson also has in his possession a core.
An extremely frigging big core.
Yes.
I'm just taking its little condom off.
Get your core out, Dave, and show them.
Have a gander at that.
The size of it.
Baby.
There now. So
That's, if anybody's interested, that's for that XL tank thing. It's the iJoy thing.
Yes. So what we're proposing is that we call the bit of wire, the first one that Dave held up, a coil, and the second one a core. Coil, core, coil, core, coil, core, coil, core, coil, core.
That's like the Karate Kid, isn't it?
Yes.
Wax on, wax off, wax on.
Yes.
Coil, core.
That's the way we want to go. If everybody does that.
Massive, mate.
Oh yeah, that's probably the most exercise you've had all day, is it?
It's exactly.
One just wonders when that's a form of exercise. Well, they do that on those machines with the ski things on, don't they? Like that.
That's it.
I've seen people in gyms doing that. I still don't know why. Not a clue. Not a clue. What? No, I'm not reading what Leanna Lawless writes. It just isn't worth doing it. So if we differentiate between a coil and a core, when we're making inquiries of various different people and at various different times, it might help. Because I, for the life of me, cannot see how a coil can be notified to anybody, because it is effectively a spring.
Isn't it?
It's what it is. It's a spring.
Element.
Yes, and it could be for anything. Because there's been some daft things about if it's capable of holding nicotine, it has to have, this is a nicotine containing product. Listen, I'm not putting that on my bath for anybody. Or me drinking glasses, or empty bottles. Bloody ridiculous. It really is. So let's fight it. Now, we have also been asked, if you are down in the southwest, that way on, near Southampton, that's the place to be. And it says, Billion Lives, Wednesday, this week, the 23rd, Wednesday the 23rd, 6 o'clock. Now, I know that Ian in Green at Southampton Vaping Centre has purchased all the tickets for that. He's bought it all out so that he's going to go on. He's one of the good guys, got a lot of time for him. And they're free for anybody that wants to go. So if you're within, spitting distance thereof, in actual fact, you could take a land yacht. With the winds they've been having down there, you'd get there in about 10 minutes, doesn't matter where you're from. Get yourselves along there to see A Billion Lives. It'll not cost you anything and it's worthwhile doing. So that's Wednesday, 23rd, 6 o'clock, free. If you want to go. There's the chance. You heard it here. Not necessarily first, but you heard it here. That's what's going on. Because it'll highlight some elements of things that have been going on worldwide that are really rather quite wrong. And one of those is happening in the EU even as we speak. And that would be that the EU is now looking at the revision of the Tobacco Excise Directive. Like they revised the TPD and caught e-cigs and made our lives a misery. They are now revising the Tobacco Excise Directive. And many of you might think that, well, e-cigs have got bugger all to do with tobacco and tobacco's got bugger all to do with e-cigs. And I would say that you're right. But this, the whole notion of all of this is what its implications, the implications of this revision are for we who use e-cigs. Now, before we get any further into it, because he's a Yorkshire lad, I'm going to bring Marco in and ask him what he thinks ought to happen about taxation with regard to e-cigs. Marco?
Yes, interesting. I think the taxation on e-cigs and e-cig related products should be 20% VAT, like everything else. There's no need for it to be 5% meds, because then it would have to be medicine. So just as it is now, 20% VAT is what should go on there. There's no reason at all to put a duty on these products as if they were cigarettes, and that is the kind of way they want it to go, isn't it? They're going to want to say, this is a tobacco product, ergo, we're going to put a tobacco duty on it. Well, bollocks to that. It needs to stay at 20% VAT. That's it.
Dave? Mr. Kitson?
I do apologise. I was just testing that coil that I just core that I put in the tank. And it works. Do you want to see it again?
Go on then.
But it didn't work quite so well that time. I'm adjusting my wattage.
I see.
To find the optimum. But anyway, yes, on the subject of taxation, they can piss off. And that is my considered opinion. It took me a while to articulate that. It was a lot more ranty first time I thought about it.
Was it indeed?
It was indeed.
Right.
There's no... Right, okay, right. The only tax over and above VAT that they can legitimately impose is what we popularly call a sin tax, right? Where's the sin? This is tobacco harm reduction. This is doing what they actually wanted us to do. Move away from tobacco to something else. If they tax it along the same lines, then That's just inconsistent, hypocritical, money grabbing, and they can piss off.
Yes. Are you aware of how tobacco is taxed?
Yes, I went through. We had some lengthy debates, didn't we, on Twitter a long time ago, calculating the excise.
Well, let me run through it for you, and let's assume that the retail price of a packet of tabs is £9.40. Right?
Which scares me just to think about, to be honest.
Well, it does me as well. The VAT on a packet of fags at £9.40 is £1.57. The ad valorem duty is £1.55, and then the specific excise duty, which is a fixed amount per 1,000 cigarettes or per kilo of loose tobacco, is £3.93. So the total of the duties plus VAT is £7.05. The untaxed price would be £2.35, and that's the bit that goes to the retailers and the manufacturers and what have you. And that's how tobacco taxes work. And what this consultation that the EU is embarking upon is asking is, more or less, is it possible for them to actually do something similar with e-cigs? So VAT we know about, right? And as Marco says, I'm in total agreement with him. I do not want the VAT to be reduced to 5% in line with NRT, for the very simple reason that e-cigs are not NRT. They are not a quit smoking device, concept or anything. They are there as an alternative to smoking. Nothing more, nothing less. We can't advertise them. People can't advertise them as anything other than an alternative to smoking. Therefore, that's the way they should be. They shouldn't have 5%, it should be 20% VAT. I don't think there's any need to
in line with other consumer products.
Which is exactly what they are, yes.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. The ad valorem duty, now then, these are specified as a fixed percentage of the price, but you can only do that, I think, when you have an homologous product, like a cigarette. A cigarette is a cigarette is a cigarette. It's a paper tube with a filter and tobacco. Sometimes you'll get them without a filter, but they are basically a paper tube with tobacco. So a cigarette is a cigarette, so you can specify that. But when it comes to e-cigs, you've got disposables, you've got refillables, and you've got rechargeable disposables, as in the pre-filled carto type, where you buy the whole pre-filled, you know what I'm saying? Like the Vivids that Keith rather likes, where you go and buy 3 new heads, so you only use a coil once. It's pre-filled, you can't refill it, so there's those. And then you've got what the majority of people use. Tanks and mods that you mix and match to suit yourself. So there is no way of working out what the percentage of anything is on anything, so an ad valorem is just unfeasible and not, not worth doing. And the specific excise duties, a fixed amount per 1,000 cigarettes. Again, we're talking apples and oranges and pears and bananas and monkeys and orangutans and God knows what else. But what they aren't is anything like an homologous device or market segment. And I don't see how they can properly manage all of this. The really worrying part about it is, for me, would be that the taxes on cigarettes account for around about 84% of the typical selling price of 20 fags currently. 84%. Can you imagine them putting an 84%, well, it's been more than an 84% hike, it would be a 400% hike on the cost of your juice. They tried it in Italy, Did you know that, Dave?
I did. Now, okay, I read that original document when it surfaced, 6 months or more ago, about the approach, and I interpreted it differently, and that's how come I got into the debate on Twitter. And I don't think it was anything like 400%. It was more like 84% increase. It was significant. I can't remember all the workings now, but I did a little spreadsheet and tracked it all through. It's kind of a moot point. It doesn't matter. They've got no entitlement to it. They can't justify it the way they justify a sin tax on tobacco or alcohol or anything else. And just for the record, I don't think they can justify that either, but they certainly can't use the same arguments, weak as they are, to impose that level of taxation on the consumer product. But the Italian thing, I remember that surfacing. I don't remember how it panned out, to be honest.
I've got some figures here.
Go for it.
Where are we? This has come from e-cigarette intelligence. Following a tax of €3.73 per 10 mils in 2014, let me say that again, €3.73 for 10 mils in 2014, demand in Italy collapsed from greater than €400 million in 2013 to €97 million in 2015. Right? The tax went in 2014. Prior to the tax going in, they were doing €400 million per annum, and that dropped to €97 million in 2015. Vaping prevalence fell from 4.2% of adults in 2013 to 1.2% in 2015, 4.2 to 1.2. Revenue accruing from the tax on liquids for 2015 amounted to €5,176,352, less than a 20th of the amount expected. In 2015, the tax authority cancelled the tax on non-nicotine products, and in February 2016 published a decree that increased the tax on e-liquids containing nicotine from €3.73 to €3.85. Apparently 90% of Italian vapers are using open systems, and 60% of them purchase their supplies via the internet.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are buying from the UK as well. Demand appears to be recovering, but I mean that's what happened in Italy. Basically, the tax went on and it decimated it. And this is the point, isn't it? There are plenty of people out there. Let's talk about the journey. I've got friends that have taken 4 years and more to complete a journey from being a smoker to being a vapor completely. They're dual users for a length of time, and dual use takes in going from 20 fags a day to 19 and having a disposable when they go to the club one night a month, to going from 20 fags a day down to 1 a day, either the morning whatever or the evening whatever, but 1 a day. They're both still dual use, right? And I know people that have taken 4 years or longer to get to be completely, totally and utterly switched. Just imagine those people that are on that journey. It's already quite expensive to get a start with a decent piece of kit. Anybody can afford a starter kit, something that's a proof of concept. Just about anybody can afford that. And many people now have worked out that they can be given away in certain sectors. Leicester, so we know that. But when it comes to picking up something like that, you're looking at 100, 120 quid there by the time you finish with batteries and spare batteries and tanks and spare cores and change of drip tips and all the rest of it. So it's quite expensive. If that is increased, if it's doubled, then those people that are on that journey are going to go, bollocks, it's cheaper to smoke. Might as well not bother with the journey, sod it, I'll just smoke. That's what they'll do. That's exactly what they'll do. Any tax being added to e-cigs over and above VAT, in other words, anything that changes the status quo so that it becomes more expensive, is probably the most stupid move any government or conglomeration of governments or commission or conglomeration of commissions could possibly even think up. It smacks of desperate prohibitionism and ideology gone completely, totally and utterly shit-faced. They are.
It would be right up there, wouldn't it? It'd be right up there with erroneous health warning messages on e-liquid.
It would.
What will probably happen is that either the black market will grow and grow for e-cig items, or people will go back to smoking, and the black market for cigarettes and tobacco will increase.
Well, you know, I actually can't see an upside if this goes through and goes ahead. I cannot see an upside at all for anybody other than criminals, to use a phrase. The bottom line on it is, and this isn't a criminal, well, it is a criminal act, but it's not a criminal act, if you see what I mean. Let's, for argument's sake, say you found a way of bringing 72 milligrams in from outside the EU. There is no ban order, so it's not illegal to do, and it's not illegal for you to possess for your own purposes. It would be illegal for you to buy it in, mix up and sell out, but if you're using it for your own purposes, there is no ban order, it's not illegal at 72 milligram. But a litre of that is going to be fairly easily spotted should customs decide to take an interest. However, if you had, and I wish I had here, a bottle of the right size, but let's assume that that is a 100ml bottle, and let's assume it had 99.9% pure nicotine in it. That can be bought for less than, a lot less than, 40 quid delivered from China. I'm not going to tell you how, I'm not going to tell you any ways of doing it, but I'm telling you that that's the case. And for a lot of people, that would work out at 5 years worth of vaping. What are folks going to do if the taxation on e-liquid in the UK goes through the roof? What would you do, Dave?
Well, exactly what you're intimating. I'm quite sort of clear on the fact that if I am no longer allowed to buy, or if the price of buying gear through the proper channels within the EU or within the UK becomes prohibitive, I'll go into the black market.
What about you, Marco?
As Dave's, and you've said already, Dave, the two Daves have said, I will source myself nicotine from somewhere. I won't be buying 99.9% pure though, because that's just a bit silly. But I will source it from wherever I can source it from.
The daft part about this is, though, right, we know that there is a risk to 99.9% pure nicotine. And we know that risk, we even know how to mitigate it, if we're truthful, we do. And in fact, there is a member of our audience at the moment that is a fully qualified chemist. He's qualified, and he knows exactly what's needed. And I dare say that amongst my friends locally, there'll be qualified chemists that know exactly what to do, and may even have access to the right equipment in order to be able to do it so that I can handle the product safely, or safely enough. Where the big issue lies with all of this, of course, is that we are who we are. We know who we know, but there's a whole host of folks out there that have got no notion whatever how deadly this stuff can be in its pure form, and will, in fact, put an order in to the Oriental country that I probably shouldn't have named, and buy some 99.9% pure in a 100ml bottle. That will arrive and get through, because you're not going to spot that very easily, and it can be labelled up as absolutely anything. Dog shampoo, for want of a better phrase. This is probably giving people ideas, and it's not intended to. But when they get hold of that, it just takes one sneeze at the wrong time, and we're talking accident and emergency here. And this is something I don't think I was going to call them representatives, but they're not. No, representative's not the word I'm looking for the people in the EU Commission. I know what it is. Fuckwits. The fuckwits in the EU haven't even considered this. They are going to be costing lives.
They went further than that. They did consider it, and they actually published, didn't they, that their investigations and studies had concluded that there would not be a significant black market.
Oh, but that's what Ash keeps on saying as well. Not just Ash UK, Ashes all over the world deny that a black market exists, and yet
it's already significant.
Of course it is.
You know, and that's before they take away like the viable products from us. You know, I mean, only a complete fucktard could predict anything other than an explosion of the black market.
It beggars belief, doesn't it? I mean, you've just got to look at. Let's go back in history. Go back in history an awful long way to something which is now being repealed all over America, which is a whole other kettle of fish, isn't it, really? But in America now, there are, 7 states where the recreational use of marijuana, cannabis, pot, hash, weed, the recreational use is now legal.
You forgot blow.
Blow, yes. It's legal, now legal. Reversing illegalities of I've got no idea how long. And what they've discovered in the states where it's been legalised in a fashion for the last year or two is that the black market in weed's gone out the window altogether. It has just died because people want to buy from recognised, trustworthy producers.
Of course they do.
The problem, so, you know, if the world is now starting to legalise marijuana, why on earth is the EU looking at effectively creating a huge black market in nicotine? Have they learned nothing? Are these people complete fuckwits or what?
Yes, they are.
I totally agree. CockWombles.
So what are we going to do about it? What do we need to do about it? Well, this is
freezer.
Well, yes.
Yeah, get on that well-known auction site and buy a little second-hand chest freezer to keep in your garage.
It's still going to have a shelf life, though, isn't it?
It's true. It can't last forever. And the truth of the matter is, as well, I don't want to do it illegally, you know. And I do care about people who don't know how to get around the ridiculous rules. So.
And that only helps us as well. It doesn't help the smokers out there who want to switch.
That's the people I mean, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's the nub, isn't it? There's the rub. And that is that most of the vapers who are watching this particular broadcast and who follow us and everything else, or go to the groups and they know about vaping and about DIY mixing, all that good stuff, they know that. But your smoker who's still smoking 20 tabs a day, who wants to switch in, 3, 4, 5 years' time when there's nothing, they're the ones that are screwed, not us.
Quick anecdote. Last Wednesday, one of my partner Fiona's friends came around for dinner, and I was talking to her. She's a smoker, and she wanted to try vaping. She tried something ages ago. It was a bit rubbish, didn't stick with it. Could I help her sort some stuff out? And I thought, yeah, here's a good chance to empty some more stuff out the cupboard. So I went rummaging, and as I'm sort of setting it up for her, and I gave her a bottle of juice, and just get her started, and with the message, go into a vape shop at the weekend. By the few days of using this, you'll know what you don't like and do like about it, and have a look, see what they've got. But she said, Dad, there's some laws coming in, aren't there? Some new rules and restrictions. And it just suddenly occurred to me just how much more difficult it's going to be when the advertising's gone, when the number of products is restricted, when the number of flavours and different strengths of juice is going to be restricted. We always said, didn't we, Dave, that it's a lot easier, for the last 2 or 3 years, it's been a lot easier for somebody to start that journey, because there are shops, there is a big wide range of product available to look at, whereas we had to sort of figure things out through trial and error. But it's going back the other way. And I felt quite sad actually. Another 12 months down the line, and probably they won't bother.
Well, that's exactly the point, isn't it? I mean, if it's going to be hard enough to find out what's good, because there can be no advertising other than on billboards, and what advertising is likely to be on the billboards is going to be quit related, because that's the only thing that's probably going to get past the ASA in their infinite wisdom. And we know for a certain fact most smokers do not wish to be patients. They don't like it. If they did, the stop smoking services would be, I was going to say, making money hand over fist. Actually, they'd be giving away taxpayers' money hand over fist, but they're not. They're just not. Because people don't really want to be patients. They don't want to be seen as ill. They want to enjoy themselves. Pleasure principle rules and all of that. But when we're starting to look, as you say, in a year's time, how the hell are people going to know where to start and how to start? Because there are announcements happening daily now of vaping businesses going to the wall. They're closing down.
Yep.
And it's not just in the States, it's in the UK.
Absolutely it is. And even those that are going to the wall, as I hinted at earlier, are going to have a much reduced selection.
Well, yes. I mean, at the moment, I'm gonna try and go down tomorrow or Wednesday. There's a shop down here. It's inside one of the well-known supermarkets, not the big ones. It's a smaller, well-known supermarket, nicer, in Washington, and they've got an area probably the size of my studio, maybe a little bit bigger, that's set over to e-cigs. And last time I was in there, they must have had 600 different juices. That's not necessarily different flavours, but you know, the same flavour from 3 or 4 different people. But they must have had about 600 juices. They must have had, I would say, at least 20 different tanks, and God knows how many battery units, power supplies, call them what you want to call them. It was wonderful. It was delightful. And what I'm going to do is go down sometime this week and take a couple of photographs or a little bit of video. That's assuming I don't get kicked out. And then we'll do it again as time goes on. And I want to see how much that range shrinks. And I'm here to tell you, last time I was there, if I'd wanted a 10ml bottle, I couldn't find them. I couldn't see any 10ml bottles. There was 30s, 60s, 120s and some 180s. No litres. It'll be interesting to see what that's going to look like as we come up to May the 20th of next year. It's not a video I want to make, I've got to say. I'd rather it wasn't going to happen. But I think we've got to advocate again. We've got to talk to everybody and keep on putting pressure on to get this thing stopped before it does finally make a lot of us hurtle over the edge of the cliff. We've got to keep at it one way or another. Keep trying to get it stopped. And this taxation thing's another one. So it being something that is of interest to everyone within the EU, and yes, we are still within the EU, we might escape if we get out quick enough, because it normally takes them a couple of years to sort this kind of crap out. So we might escape if Article 50 is thrown in quick enough. But if not, we're going to be subject to it. We might still yet be subject to it no matter what happens. So we've got to do everything we can. So there are organisations out there that have voices that will be heard by the EU. You need to talk to those organisations and find out what you need to do. I can tell you, for instance, that the New Nicotine Alliance at the next board meeting, which is next week, will be talking about this and putting together a position statement on it, and a briefing as well for the Department of Health. I'm going to assume that VIP will be doing the same. I'm going to assume that IBVTA, ESITA, ECBA and all of the other trade organisations will be doing similar, but it might be a good idea as well if, as individuals, we also respond to this consultation, and let's do what we did with the TPD. Because if we just sat back and said nout, we'd have been completely, totally and utterly Donald Ducked by now. It's only because we took action that the UK is in the position that it's in. So we need to do the same again.
Very true.
Any more to say on that, Dave?
I think you've pretty much summed it up, haven't you? It's worth stressing the point, although I know some won't have it, but had we not shouted and kicked and screamed, then the UK could easily have ended up in the same position as some of our European counterparts. It is worth fighting about. You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I must say that Gary posted in the chat a little bit earlier. The problem is for me that vendors who have bent over to comply with the TPD and spent thousands to do so might get screwed again with tax. For me, tax is the next big fight, and we need to be united. So yeah, I agree with you there, Gary.
Well, it is. I mean, it's going to be the next big fight. And it just doesn't make any sense not to fight it, because the bottom line on it is, look, whose pocket is it actually going to hit? It's not going to hit producers' pockets particularly, because any taxation increases will be passed on to us, the vapor.
Yeah.
We end up paying more. When it comes down to it, and let's be right about this, the tobacco companies, 84% of the price you pay is tax, but of that £2.35 that is left, if there is a price increase, they can put tuppence or threepence on a packet of fags, and that's theirs. That's an increase in profit for them of a fair few percent. If it's 25 pence that goes on, that's 10% increase in their profits. It's not the same with e-cigs. It's not going to work the same. It's not going to be easy for the producers to make more money, but it will be very easy for us to have to spend more money. So we need to take action. If we don't take action, we might as well bend over, sprinkle our backsides with sand and wait for it to be rammed up, because that's what's going to happen. Isn't it, Dave?
Yeah.
So there you go. I've been a good lad, Marco. I've kept a piece of video for next week.
Yes, you've got a bit of video. We might have some more video as well for next week. But you never know.
You never do. You never
No.
do. You never do. What's that? Yes. All right. Blaze has said I'm safe in that assumption, but they're holding off for a month or two. That's VIP making sure they've got their ducks in order for their reply to the consultation. The NNA will be doing the same, because I don't think we'll get it all agreed out at the next board meeting. We may do, we may not, I don't know. But yes, it's got to be fought. If we don't fight it, we're screwed.
Aye. Shafted.
And
Again.
And GD has said, on a side note, it'll make the vendors tax collectors even more than they already are, and they'll have to foot the bill to put in place a system to collect. So that's got an additional cost to the vendor, and that cost again is almost certain to be passed on. I mean,
Yeah.
even the costs of accounting for VAT, and those of you that aren't in business may not know how this works, but the bottom line on it is, you get VAT in, you have to pay VAT out, assuming you're selling goods and services. And the difference between the two, you have to calculate, and then you have to pay that to the VAT man, to Customs and Excise. They don't come and do it for you. It isn't. You've got to have somebody doing it, and if your business is big enough, somebody is employed to do that, and that is a cost, and that cost has to be recouped. If they're also going to start taxing e-cigs, somebody is going to have to work out what the duties, the extra tax is. and that's another cost that will go to the vendor. So it doesn't matter which way you slice it. If they decide to tax e-cigs, it's you, the vapor, that will suffer, nobody else.
The real irony is that by forcing the market into a, where there'll be less products on the shelves, which there'll be more, what's the word I'm looking for? The whole range that any company will be selling will be streamlined, whether it be juices or hardware, tanks and cartridges, refills, whatever you want to call them. The overheads of accounting for these new taxes and everything, they're actually forcing the e-cig industry into the pattern of an existing industry. And that existing industry is the tobacco industry. It's almost as though they're trying to mould e-cigs to be like traditional cigarettes. And we've all often spoken about the thin edge of the wedge, yeah, and the thick end of the wedge, when we get there, is it will be a tobacco product, including being manufactured by tobacco companies. That's the way they're forcing the market, and the irony is that's the absolute opposite of what they're trying to achieve. They're fucking morons.
Well, it's the absolute opposite of what they say they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, that's true. That's a nice distinction, yes.
You know, I well remember taking young ladies out to the cinema and for a meal and promising faithfully I wasn't trying to get into their knickers. And I remember on the one or two occasions I did, they were too tight and cut off all the circulation to my legs. But it's exactly right. They're trying to force the e-cig market into, as Dave says, not even a mirror image. They're trying to force the e-cig market into the same market as smoking, into tobacco. And it's just, it's not worth letting them do it, because it's just going to do for us what they've done with cigarettes. And it just isn't worth letting them. Let's fight it. Let's kick some arse. Yes, I'm here to kick arse and chew bubble gum, and I've got no bubble gum left.
Oh dear.
But there you go. Shall we call it?
Done.
Yes. Shall we call it tonight, chaps?
I think so. And strangely enough, John Summers has just posted up in our chat. There's been a huge earthquake in Japan. Near the Fukushima place again. That's not going to be very good for them, is it?
No.
No.
And
that earthquake, that bombshell.
I was going to say, does the European Commission think we're all called Ushima?
Yes. No, not good. Too many earthquakes. Anyway, yeah. On that note,
we shall call it a night. Indeed, we shall. So I'm going to say thank you to Marco. Thank you, Marco.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Kitson.
Cheers, Dave.
And
Thank you, Mr. Kitson.
Cheers, Marco.
Thank you, Mr. Dorn.
cheers, Marco.
Thank you, chat.
Yes, thanks, chat. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, chat.
And thank you to everybody that watches video on demand. It's nice to...
Oh, yes.
I tell you what...
Mustn't forget the on-demand viewers. Thanks.
The bit
Yes,
I like...
and we must thank as well someone who's not on screen, and that is Sav, because she's been in chat and stuff. Yeah.
She has. She's
Thanks, Sav.
chat wrangler, making sure that we do things right. We have her in Skype. We all of us have Sav in Skype, just here. And if we get things wrong...
There.
Yes, she's just there. And if we get things wrong... There's big capital letters come in to tell us what we've got wrong, because she's good that way.
She's omnipresent.
Pardon?
She's omnipresent.
Is that like baby shambles?
Bleeding everywhere.
All right.
It's like God, isn't it?
Aye. The God. Yeah, it's a good tongue. Right, we're going to go. And I will say thank you again to chat and everybody watching video on demand. In fact, I will quote from one Jeremy Clarkson: "We're on the internet. That means I can pleasure a horse."
Yeah, I saw that too. Very good.
Good show. Yes, it was a good show.
Yes, indeed it was. So from all of us here at VTTV Towers, which is spread all across the country, as well it should be, as are all vapors, can I say thank you very much for watching, and the usual YouTube thing, you know, like, comment, share, all of those good things. That's always brilliant. But from all of us here, vape on, vape hard, and don't let the bastards grind you down and increase our taxes. They can all go and fuck right off. See you next time. Take care.
Right off.
Right off.
Good night.
How far off?
Right off. And when they get there, they can fuck off some more.
And keep on fucking off until they get back when they started, and then they can fuck right off. See you all next time. Take care. Bye bye.
Good night. everyone.
Bye.
And then they can fuck off a bit further, Dave.
Absolutely right.
Just tell them all to fuck right off.
A couple of people seem to find that quite amusing anyway.
Yeah.